Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Williams. I'm author of the novel Ripples, being released this week by SFK Press. I want to say that I'm very honored to be here to speak to this group, the Bookmarks Spring Book Club Social, and I wish that I could be there with you because what author wouldn't want to be present in a room full of readers, my best friends. But because of my book launch, I won't be able to be there with you this evening, but I'm very excited about talking to you about my upcoming novel. I'm coming to you from the old family apple storage shed. This is where we used to store our picked apples, grade them, and then later on store our empty boxes. It's a place where, as a teenager, 12, 13 years old, I would often stick a paperback book in the back pocket of my shorts, and I would climb up a stack of the empty boxes till I got almost 15 feet off the ground up to the rafters, where an empty one was at the very top, an empty 18-bushel wooden apple box. Climb inside, and then out of sight, read to my heart's content. So I've taken that apple storage shed and turned it into my home. So the place where I used to do all my reading is now where I do all my writing. I'm at least the seventh consecutive generation of apple growers in the Williams family, and perhaps it goes further back than that. My folks came over from Wales, landed in Brunswick County, Virginia, and immediately worked their way to Western North Carolina, where they have stayed for more than 250 years. I tell people we have no ambition whatsoever. We came, we saw, we liked, and we stayed. My commercial apple orchard I currently have leased out, and my focus is a small heirloom orchard where I'm gathering apples from all around the world, the best tasting apples in the world, well over 100 varieties so far, hoping to top out around 200, and growing them without any kind of chemical additives, no spray material, no petrochemical fertilizers, no herbicides, sort of my karmic debt for all the many years of applying those things in a commercial orchard. The community in the book Ripples is a small community, not unlike the Dana community that I grew up in. I live in the Hendersonville area. Dana's the actual community. Hendersonville's about 30 minutes south of Asheville, for those of you that aren't familiar with the area. But my own small community resembles that of the novel. And for that reason, I didn't want there to be a lot of direct association to take place. So when it came to picking family surnames, I didn't want to go with anything that was indigenous, that someone could say, "Oh, look at that crazy Williams guy. He's writing about me." Defamation of character. No, instead, I chose names of heirloom apples. So the main family in the story are the Bramley family. The Bramley has been a favorite baking apple in England for centuries now. So they're the Bramleys. Ben Bramley, his grandfather, and his grandmother are the primary characters throughout the novel. The tiny community of Abundance is not unlike so many small towns in western North Carolina that was bypassed by the interstate highway system. It's been isolated, and so therefore change is very slow to come to the community of Abundance, if at all. It's that small town America situation where there aren't too many choices, either decay or stagnation and decline. Abundance is trying to hold its own, and there are, any number of people in the community that want things to remain the same. Ben Bramley, as a young man, as a boy even in the book, is a very precocious type of fellow. And I describe him as a multi-hued boy that's trying to fit into the black and white world of Abundance. Coming from a family that considered cinnamon toast a delicacy, Ben longed for a lot more than that. And so from the get-go, Ben had a hard time fitting in. There was just not enough in Abundance, not enough demand for imagination, for his brilliance. And as I said, change came very slowly to that area, if at all. I picked the apple growing business not just simply to make it easy on myself, doing that, falling back on writers writing what they know, but I picked the apple growing business because of the family dynamic involved. And I'm sure it's true of many family businesses, but in the apple growing business, you've got usually family living side by side generationally, people that you live next to, but also people that you're working to day in and day out. And so in the book, those dynamics become quite strained for Ben as a young man, and even as an adult, of being able to be around folks that maybe neglected him, that didn't understand the difficulties he was going through whenever family tragedy struck, indeed tragedy after tragedy mounted, and thinking that he was resilient enough that he would survive without any special care, any special attention, and even the adults themselves reeling over some of the things that have happened to their family. So the family dynamic, the family business of apple growing is key to the novel itself, and it presents an excellent platform for describing what Ben's having to go through. Ben says, it's the quaint family farm. He makes reference to it, saying that people don't even understand what's going on. All these tourists come to Western North Carolina with their cameras, he said, and they're taking pictures, a couple of Holsteins out in the pasture, maybe bales of hay, a white farmhouse, red barn, tin roof, and everybody smiling and happy, they think. And Ben says, that's not the case. At least that wasn't the case for him. That other people made growing up look easy. He's not sure how they did it because he found it to be quite the opposite. In fact, the title for the book, Ripples, and the cover art itself are very directly indicative of what's going on in the novel. The novel itself was inseminated by the time I spent at Queens pursuing my Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. The first work group I was in, I submitted a story about a young boy and grandmother going fishing, a secret fishing trip. And when near tragedy ensued, a lot of secrecy surrounded that, even more secrecy of the trip itself, that Ben is forced to try to keep from his mother, father, grandfather even. And my group asked the question, with the story being so open-ended, what happened when Ben got home? What happened when he had to face the consequences for disobeying his mother and running off? And that got me to thinking and led to the novel itself. Ben, as I mentioned, is a very precocious child. And one of the things about Ben is that he has become much of a junior zealot where religion is concerned. One church in Abundance, the Redeemer Baptist Church, a Southern Baptist church, Ben's family all attends, mom's side, in fact, 90-something% of the community attend. And so religion plays a huge role in Ben's life and throughout the novel. The novel itself comes down pretty hard on Southern Baptists at times. Ben, in particular, is the one that comes down hard on Southern Baptists at times. But as the great Truman Capote said, you can't blame the author for what characters say. So that's a little bit of a dodge perhaps on my part. But Ben is speaking as a 32-year-old young man in the book whenever he is having to deal with the crisis that's going on, the present day crisis in Abundance, and whether he can go back and face family and community and even the land itself that has just scarred him to the bone. He's become a frenetic runner, literally trying to run away from his problems. He's sought counseling, medication, and still he just lives a life of torment because that fishing trip with his grandmother, he saw as the starting point for all his troubles. And as ripples do, when a stone is cast in the water, ripples ensue and they spread. And as they get larger, it includes more and more area. And that's what Ben saw as happening with that fishing trip, that he threw the first stone in the water and the next tragedy had happened and the next and the next and the next, all focus on him. And so he's dealing with a great deal of guilt. He is a young boy that is already trying to puzzle his way through society and trying to understand the Bible and trying to make all the pieces of life fit neatly and logically. And he was already struggling with that even before that came along. If, as I assume, in your reading groups and your book clubs, you're looking for a book that's going to promote lively discussion, I would just, in my pitch about Ripples, say there is plenty of fodder there for lively discussion. It's just a great fit because there is so much controversial subject matter. There are people's toes getting stepped on left and right as they're going to read this book. I have no doubt about that. but the complex relationships and everything that goes on with the family is a dynamic that I think everyone can find relatable. And hopefully they find the setting compelling, the writing itself compelling. It's taken me many years to get to this point, but I finally found my voice, and I look forward to sharing it with you.